And welcome to another episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. I'm your host, Noah Love, and today we're going to be talking about Game 7 of Cavs Pistons. We also will be previewing Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals that is tonight between the Thunder and Spurs, one of the most anticipated series of the 2020s. It's going to be on our screens tonight. And yeah, those are the two games we'll be talking about. I'll probably have another video up recapping the game one and probably previewing the East Finals in that video again, but that may be out late tonight, early tomorrow morning. Please like, comment, and share and subscribe, and let's get straight into it. Cavs Pistons Game 7. Beat down, beat down, beat down. Detroit's not ready. Every weakness of the Detroit Pistons have been every weakness they've had this season was compiled into this game. The lack of a second scorer, Cade having to do it by himself. The sometimes the lack of defense at the rim, the bench not being that great at times, Asar Thompson not really being effective on the offensive end. I like him as a player, but it wasn't there. Everything was on display. And this series really, at least to me, was these last two games were kind of like a whirl, not like a whirlwind, but it was like they confused me. Even though, yes, I picked Detroit to win Game 6, dominate like the road teams through the first 5 games. I understand the Cavs won Game 5. Through the first 5 games, it was a well played, competitive, down to the wire games. It was. And then game 6 happened and Detroit just blew out Cleveland. Cleveland, no intensity. Detroit had to keep the season alive. They did. And then in game 7, Detroit, and they had a bad night, but that was the worst time to have a bad night. And Cleveland had a great night. Truthfully, had a great night. Jared Allen, Mobley, Mitchell, probably it's some of the best all around basketball he played. Sam Merrill carried the bench. He was just incredible. Defensively, it was there, and yeah, brother, this them not being able to score the basketball at a high enough clip. This was stunning in terms of the score and how the game went. Because look, if Cleveland had won the game by 5 or 10 points, even if it was 15, I pull way late. You get it. To be utterly dominated for 48 minutes and them winning by 31 points, that was shocking to me. In the way they did it, they just imposed their will on Detroit. Detroit defensively, there was no security in the club last night. Like defensively, they weren't having defensive rotations. Jared Allen, like 3 times, just had wide open rim runs. Like it seemed like they didn't know what they were doing when they were trapping the pick and roll. It was bad. It was bad. And then I also look look at this game, and this is what frustrates me about Cleveland. Honestly, from a talent perspective, they are very good. But this intensity, they do not play with all the time. If they played with this intensity all of the time, they are a dangerous team. They'd be a dangerous team if they play with this intensity all the time. They don't. And I think that's the one thing about Cleveland. Like, the one thing about the Knicks is they play with a certain amount of intensity, at least in this playoffs, every single game. Now, the game two and game three against Atlanta, and really that second half of Atlanta, they played a great second half. Uh, CJ McCollum makes a shot, and they don't get a good last possession, and yeah. But they played with so much intensity in these playoffs that if Cleveland doesn't match that, I don't care how much talent you got, they're going to get blown off the floor. They're going to get blown out the floor. Back to this game, I just thought Mobley 21, 12, and 6, Allen, that front court was incredible. That front court, if they can play similar to this, they've got a chance to beat. They've got a chance to beat the Knicks. Because with the Knicks, unless they're going to start the two big lineup and move hard to the bench, they start Josh Hart at the 4. And even if OG's still injured, they didn't move somebody bigger in there. They moved Deuce McBride is the 2. So they are very small in terms of the backcourt. And they're not the biggest lineup in the world. So maybe they feel like Cleveland's not going to make them pay inside. It'll be interesting to see that. But Mitchell, best overall game. I thought he wasn't out of control. I thought he took good shots. Even some he missed, I thought that's still a good shot. Again, just very under control, getting his teammates involved. I thought he was really good. People are going to be like, James Harden made a conference finals. First time since 2018. Harden, bro, I'm going to be honest. Harden was bad in this game. It's not Cleveland. It's not going to be talked about because Donovan, as the best player, stepped up. Those two bigs, Merrill, they all stepped up, and so it's not going to be talked about because you won the game by 30 points. But people are saying Harden had 9 points. He was 2 of 10 over 6. Like, he was not in game 6 and 7. He was not good. He still wasn't good. Like that's the whole thing. Now games 3, 4, 5 was I thought he was fantastic. Game 6 and 7 he was not good. But Mitchell, they able pulled him through the hole. I thought defensively, Cleveland just, and because it's Detroit, I know from an offensive perspective, they're not like this offensive juggernaut, but they can do whatever. Cleveland just did whatever. I thought defensively, the intensity they came with. I mean, especially at the rim as well. Block shots by Mobley and Allen. I also thought for Detroit, Cade had his worst game of the playoffs. Couldn't hit a shot. Everything was hard for Detroit. Tobias didn't even make a shot. I think all of his points came on free throws. He actually didn't make a shot. Cade at points couldn't make a shot, but he was 5 for 16. Tobias didn't make a shot. Duran didn't play well, and he hasn't really played well this whole playoff run. Honestly, the bench, in terms of offensive production, at times, LeVert and Robinson look like the only two out there that could really get a bucket pretty easily. Truthfully. So, Detroit, they're going to need a second scorer. in the offseason. They're gonna need another 20-point per game scorer, break down the defense. Jalen Duren, will he be on the Detroit Pistons next year? He's a restricted free agent. We can get into the Detroit talk at some point, but I my look, if the Bulls want Jalen Duren, if the Bulls or somebody want Jalen Duren bad enough, they'll pay Jalen Duren. And for Detroit, it's all about if you max. If you match, you can't just give him that super max. You cannot get that to him. But like I said, we can get into the offseason talk another time because he's played himself out of a lot of money. But Cleveland's going on to the East Finals to play the Knicks. Um, that's a series that is very intriguing to me, just based off of the fact that somebody between Mitchell and Brunson's getting to the first NBA Finals. Mike Brown's been to the NBA Finals. He will have to beat his old franchise to do it again. In that first LeBron run, he was the only coach to take LeBron to the NBA Finals. And they obviously were able to get there in 2007. Got swept, but whatever. So he has to do that. And these are two franchises that look post LeBron for the Cavs. They haven't been this far. This is the first conference finals that LeBron hasn't been on the Cavs team since 1992. All those other conference finals appearances LeBron was on, but in 92 they were able to make it. And this is also Knicks that they haven't been to the NBA Finals since, I believe, was that the 1999 season, the lockout season. So that's what, 27 years? They haven't won a championship, obviously, since like 1973, whatever, all that. So that series is going to be intriguing. But let's talk about game one tonight. Game one is going to be Thunder and Spurs. West Finals. Okay. This is getting interesting. Jalen Williams, J Dub, the other the All NBA Jalen Williams. They say he'll be available tonight. They say he'll be available. This, if you look at the regular season series, they it was 4-1. Um, the first game I think happened in the NBA Cup where the Spurs won by 2. Then they played like on a back to back. The Spurs won both game. They won one game by 20, one game by 15. On January 13th, the the Thunder were able to win that one. It looked like they kind of figured some things out. Shea had a great night. They won by 21. And in that last game on February 4th, there was really, remember, Shea was out. There wasn't that one. I don't even put a lot of stock into, just because there nobody was playing. Holmgren, everybody, it seemed like, was hurt at that point for the OKC Thunder. So yeah, so what I took away from the season series, and look, it's the playoffs, so it's different. The one thing I took away was, bruh, who the Spurs might have, in terms of affecting both ends. I think they may have the best player on the floor. I understand that Shea, it has the two MVPs, but bro, Victor Wembanyama, offensively, we know what he does, but defensively, the block shots, the switching onto the perimeter. I mean, bro, he's special. He's special. We know what he brings to the table, offensive, defensively. I think the X factor. I don't know who guards him, genuinely like, are they going to put Chet on him? Is iHeart going to guard him? OKC likes to switch a little onto a big. I don't think that's going to work. I know last year Caruso guarded Jokic a lot in Game 7, and in that ain't going to work on. I don't think that's going to work on Wemby. That's switching a little guy onto a big. That's not going to work. I think I'll tell you, the key is always Fox. He's the all NBA player. He's going to have to be big. He's always, no matter what it is, he's going to be the key. I actually think in terms of the depth, the matchup is pretty even. See, where OKC kills you is in those non-Shea minutes. They got a lot of athletic guys running around. And in the first two series, I'm going to be honest, I don't really feel like they were tested. Especially with such a, like, I really didn't think the Lakers or Suns could really give them any sort of test. I think San Antonio can, just based off the fact they have as many young guys and they are very athletic on the wing. If you if you watch if you watch OKC, I mean off the bench, you McCain, Jalen Williams, not J Dub, the other Jalen Williams, AJ Mitchell usually, but he starts. He's been fantastic. Will he start tonight? And will J Dub still come off the bench? Maybe, I don't know. But then McCain, Joe, like that to me is going to be interesting. The two benches, because when OKC goes to those non-Shea minutes, they can still kill you. And that's what happened in the Lakers series. Like, I thought the Lakers did a nice job of containing Shea. You get to the non-Shea minutes, and in the non-Shea minutes, at times they blitzed them. And so look, that will be an interesting starting point. Also, who will have the Shea assignment? I'm assuming it'll be Stephon Castle. Stephon's a very physical guard, right? Shea may be able to turn that around on him in terms of he draws fouls. He's able to draw a lot of fouls, contact, whatever. He is very good at that. Can't get your hand stuck in the cookie jar. All of that. But yeah, I really do think though, with this matchup in particular, all season, I mean, it looked like the Spurs, just those wings. Obviously, Wembenyama is, I mean, he's the difference at 7-5. At 7-5, he's obviously the big difference. But I think the Spurs, they're the one team I look at maybe in the whole league in terms of those wing that have those wing guys that can score and can defend. Now they don't have anybody like a J Dub yet. I would say the one thing about this series as well, could OKC's experience come into play? They look, this is what their third really playoff run. Not even I I don't want to say with his core, really second with the core of Shea, iHeart, and Chet. Because that first run, uh iHeart, Caruso, it was a different team. Giddy was still on the team. Like, it was a different team. But this is their third major playoff run. And so, with it, the Spurs being their first, does that come into play? I think the Spurs at least I thought they were tested by Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota coming in, getting game one, obviously. I thought the Wolves were, and they're not the Thunder, right? But I thought that series, that was a highly competitive 6-game series. The Thunder just breezed through the first two rounds. I mean, the Suns weren't going to give them a real. We all knew the Thunder, and then the Lakers, no Luka. Yes, Reese came back, but the only real competitive game from start to finish in that series was game 4. So yeah, uh, my prediction will be in game one tonight. I'm going to take on the MVP night. I do think OKC protects home court. I think it's game one. I think they're gonna. I think they send a statement. I think they send a statement. I think they win. I think they win game one, and I think they set the tone for this series, and they're like, "Yo, you're a good upstart team, but we are the defending champions. We know what it takes." I think they win by about 5 to 10 points, and again that crowd. Also, Spurs can't turn it over because when you turn it over against that Thunder defense, and they turn that into points, the crowd really gets into it. That's the one thing you can't do. You cannot turn it over consistently against the Oklahoma City Thunder and think you are going to beat them. They're also going to have to adjust to the handsy defense in the physical play. You know the rest will be a topic of discussion. You just know it's going to be. Because when with the Thunder, that's just how it is. All right, everybody. This has been an episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until the next time, see ya.